Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Lawyers for a former cabinet minister who's accused of bribery say that witnesses were coaching the matter. That story is coming up.
Two former PLP cabinet ministers weigh in on the government's decision to purchase the Grand Lucayan Hotel.
I'm Kyle. And I'm Indira. And this is Fifth Friday.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Vonique Tude. Topping news tonight, attorneys for former cabinet minister Shane Gibson filed documents in the Supreme Court Thursday alleging that the unprecedented levels of witness coaching and evidence alteration in this case were so egregious that the potential evidence of two key witnesses for the prosecution has been tainted, adding, "It is apparent the original witness statements generated from these meetings were backdated to hide their coaching sessions." Jarrod Higgs has the details of that document, which includes transcripts of secret recordings.
Transcripts of secret recordings filed in the Supreme Court Thursday allege that anti-corruption unit investigators and attorneys for the prosecution's two star witnesses in the Gibson bribery case brought the two witnesses together in a meeting to synchronize their statements and even allegedly backdated those witness statements. As a result, the defense has asserted these unprecedented levels of witness coaching are so egregious that the evidence of the two witnesses, Jonathan Ash and Deborah Bastian, has been irredeemably tainted. According to the documents filed, the meeting was held with lead anti-corruption investigator Detective ASP Thompson, police investigator Sergeant 1877 Roll, Jonathan Ash, a key witness for the prosecution, his attorney Alicia Bowe, Deborah Bastian, another key prosecution witness, and her attorney Raymond Roll. According to the transcript, during that meeting, the witnesses were told what to say and what to leave out of their statements. According to a transcript of the recorded meeting, ASP Thompson says, "The reason I invited y'all back here was to clear up some ambiguity in your statements in terms of y'all account of what occurred on the day when y'all met with him, and as it relates to how much money you gave Miss Bastian, because those accounts, it differs." ASP Thompson allegedly then says, "All right, so who wants to start first? I know Mr. Ash, you could give an overview and summary of what you told us transpired, and if there's anything you don't agree with what he's saying, Miss Bastian, you let us know, and then I want you to explain to him what you told us, and if there's anything you don't agree with, you let us know so we could clear this up." ASP Thompson then says, according to the transcript, "We need to iron this out because y'all are giving two different accounts as to what transpired leading up to the meeting, what happened on the day of the meeting, and then the payments, how much money was dispersed as it related to what you put in Deborah Bastian to give to Mr. Gibson." According to the transcript, Ash, who received lucrative cleanup contracts under the former government after Hurricane Matthew, and Bastian gave different accounts of the amount of money they allegedly agreed to give Gibson. After the two witnesses made their statements, the transcript alleges that ASP Thompson told them they could come back to sign the statements. According to the transcript, ASP Thompson says, "All right, so those areas in the statements I just clear up, then I'll invite y'all back to sign because I need y'all to be synchronized with that." ASP Thompson also allegedly says, "Maybe later today or even tomorrow, you can come by and sign off on it. I'm going to take some stuff out and then just clear up one or two points." The transcript, contained in an affidavit filed by Munro and Associates attorney Jarrod Higgs, goes on to allege that Detective ASP Thompson suggested that a false date be put on the statement of Miss Deborah Bastian. In a meeting that allegedly took place in September 2017, after Gibson was charged, the transcript alleges that police told Bastian to date her statement July 25, 2017, which is days before Gibson was arraigned. The lengthy document also alleges that Detective ASP Thompson suggests that she was being directed by Director of Public Prosecutions Garvin Gaskins. She says, "Gaskin called me last night on this file, so I have to drop this off to him today. He's expecting to see, especially her statement. He wants to see that." Deborah Bastian then says, "Yeah, because, y'all ain't treating me right." ASP Thompson says, "What? Who is y'all?" Deborah Bastian replies, "I still ain't got my tingum from Gaskins those yet." ASP Thompson then asks, "What's that?" Deborah Bastian replies, "I still don't have the immunity." ASP Thompson then says, "I think that must be why he wanted to see the statement, because he keeps saying that it ain't enough and it ain't enough." The document also alleges that Alicia Bowe, who was the lawyer for Jonathan Ash, is heard giving input on what evidence should be left out of witness statements so that it would not seem as if Bastian and Ash set out to entrap Gibson. According to the transcript, Bastian agreed to set up a meeting between Ash and Gibson after Ash complained that the government owed him money for work done by his company as part of hurricane cleanup efforts. According to the transcript, Bastian says about the meeting, "We knew the meeting was going to take place. We know what was going to be said in the meeting because I had already coached him on what to say." Ash's lawyer, Alicia Bowe, then says to Bastian, "Right, but you don't have to go into that, coaching him. You don't need to say that." Bastian's lawyer, Raymond Roll, then says, "No, you don't want to say that." Ash's lawyer adds, "Where you start talking about you were coaching him because it means that you two would have been in cahoots, really." Bastian's lawyer, Roll, adds, "Conspiracy." Ash's lawyer echoes that, according to the transcript, saying, "Conspiracy, and then when you look, entrapment, entrap the minister." According to the transcript, it is agreed that the word coaching would not be used. At one point during the meeting, Bastian says, "Y'all were indicating that we shouldn't mention the word coaching." ASP Thompson says, "Let me go back to that. So you want to say I told him?" Bastian says, I don't know. In essence, that's what it is. It was coaching." Jonathan Ash, the key witness in the matter, had a cleaning contract with the government. Deborah Bastian, described as a friend of Ash, worked with Gibson, who is facing trial for several bribery charges. According to the transcription of the secret audio recording, Gibson never verbally requested any payment, but instead smiled when illicit payments to a Ministry of Works official was mentioned. However, Ash and Bastian agreed that they began discussing a payment to Gibson after their meeting with the former cabinet minister. According to the defense, the key witnesses have actively colluded to modify and harmonize their respective witness statements and their proposed evidence so as to strengthen the Crown's case against the applicant. Gibson's attorneys filed a 3-page constitutional motion back in July. They've also alleged that the VBI should be quashed due to the non-disclosure and delayed release of earlier interviews and statements of witnesses. Gibson returns to court on September 17th. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jarrod Higgs.
The new Bahamas Power and Light Board has been announced, with one of the board's former members returning. New chairman is Dr. Donovan Moxey. His deputy chair is Stephen Holoesco, and other members are James Moss, Deborah Wood, Vianna Gardner, and Ferran Bethel, who served on the previous board, which collapsed this week after Works Minister Desmond Bannister said their relationships had deteriorated. Bannister said in a statement today, in accordance with the provisions of Section 8 of the Electricity Act, appointments have been made to the board with immediate effect as at the 17th day of July 2018. He concluded a further announcement will follow in due course. Bahamas Electrical Workers Union President Paul Maynard says he had the opportunity to speak with the new chairman, whom he says has plans to meet with both BPL union leaders upon his return to Nassau next Friday.
He said that as soon as he gets back, he's going to talk to myself and the president of the management union and our executives. He's going to talk to us, have a conversation with us.
The appointment of new board members caps off a tumultuous week for BPL, which grappled with an internal power struggle and ongoing power generation issues. Maynard says his priority is to get more of his members in senior positions following the recent VSAB exercise.
You know, the Prime Minister assured me that our people, every job now from here on in will be advertised and our people will be given first preference. Because it has to happen that way. I mean, you can't demoralize people. And that's what's happening now. In the corporation, you're demoralizing people. That's ridiculous.
Meanwhile, the new chairman says he's eager to get to work and bring a resolution to the long-standing issues facing the state-owned power company. Moxey, who has an extensive background in electrical engineering and strategic planning, says he's not concerned about what happened with the old board, adding if this new board doesn't get the job done either, he knows what will come next. Parliamentarians past and present joined relatives of the late Talater Strawn in paying their final respects to the former senator and straw vendors president who played a major role in the push to majority rule. Strawn died last month at age 85. A state-recognized funeral was held this morning at Faith United Missionary Baptist Church. Among those paying tribute to the PLP stalwart counselor were Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, former Prime Minister Perry Christie, Opposition Leader Philip Davis, and Anglerston MP Glenys Hunter Martin. Strawn, who was a licensed minister of the gospel, was remembered as a giant of a lady and a great warrior who brought reason but a fierce determination to any cause that the party advanced. Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands in defense mode over government's decision to purchase the $65 million Grand Lucayan Hotel, telling our news that the FNM made a number of promises to Grand Bahamians while on the campaign trail and now intends to deliver.
I'm a member of the Cabinet of the Bahamas. We made a decision. I support that decision.
You think it's the right decision?
I think it's the right decision.
Even as the Minutes administration faces fierce criticism from the opposition, business community, and even some of its own over the decision to purchase the Grand Lucayan Hotel, Health Minister Dr. Dwayne Sands insisted that Grand Bahama is on life support, and buying the shuttered resort may be just what the doctor ordered.
Can you buy it and then sell it as quickly as possible without interrupting what's happening in Grand Bahama? Grand Bahama is on life support right now. And whether Bahamians who live in New Providence and Abaco and Mayaguana and Acklands and Exuma understand it, I spend quite a bit of time in Grand Bahama. I'm going to be going there again tomorrow. What is happening on Grand Bahama is nothing short of a national tragedy. And so if we allow Grand Bahama to die, the rest of the Bahamas is going to follow.
Sands was asked to respond to the former Prime Minister, who told the Nassau Guardian last week he believes members of the Minutes administration feel boxed in, adding they promised Grand Bahama lots of things and now they can't deliver.
We didn't say that we were going to deliver everything on day one. Unlike the previous administration who said within 100 days they were going to do A, B, and C, and they didn't manage to do any of those things. So we made some commitments. We're going to live up to those commitments, so help me God.
Meanwhile, President of the Bahamian Contractors Association, Leonard Sands, says the purchase of the Grand Lucayan may not be such a bad thing. He says the renovation will provide much-needed jobs to Bahamian contractors in Grand Bahama who have not seen work for this year. Jillian Gray reports.
Bahamas Contractors Association President Leonard Sands says the sale of the Grand Lucayan could be the boost that the construction industry in Grand Bahama needs.
If they buy the property like they intend to, it is our hope that they quickly engage in the necessary renovations to the property. What that would mean is all the contractors who've had very little work, almost no work on the island of Grand Bahama, particularly in Freeport, can get engaged in doing meaningful work to that property. It means that you have a ready workforce, ready tomorrow to go on that property with their trucks, their manpower, and their employees ready to do the necessary work. And that's a good thing.
Sands says he will not tell the government whether to purchase the property or not, but said if they do, the injection of funds through the renovation of the property will stimulate the entire economy. In May, Sands lamented the fact that a Bahamian company could have built the point and insisted that the building is typical of the type of construction that they are very good at. Sands said he does not expect Bahamian contractors to be left out of the equation this time around.
This asset would be the property of the Bahamian people. I don't see how the government would allow anyone other than the Bahamian people to build the property that they own.
The cost for renovation has been pegged at $50 million. However, Sands says those numbers are incorrect, as it would cost much less.
They could probably spend, on the far end of that scale, only as much as 50% of the present value of the property. So if we're talking $65 million, maybe you're going to spend $35 to $40 million. That's it. And that property is ready to take on guests and customers from day one once you finish the renovations. What it also means is that kind of an injection in Freeport, Grand Bahama means that there's a multiplier effect of 10 persons for every dollar that you spend in construction.
The state of the construction industry in Grand Bahama is poor, according to Sands, who says besides odd jobs that the Port Authority provides, there is no work.
There are a lot of contractors who haven't seen work for this year, and we are already in August. Now you can imagine that some contractors have not worked for this year. And that is, of course, concerning for the Bahamian Contractors Association.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
Meanwhile, two former cabinet ministers asserting that if the Minutes administration insists on purchasing the hotel, it needs to get it right. Anglerston MP Glenys Hannah Martin and former Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller say the Prime Minister's legacy depends on it. Jasmine Brown has that angle.
Both Hannah Martin and Miller were candid in their comments as they insisted the fate of Grand Bahama will depend heavily on what the government does.
You know, anyone with their brain in the head, the government do this thing very simply.
That was Miller's candid response to the government's plans to purchase the Grand Lucayan Hotel. Miller says it's a no-brainer that the government should not be in the business of owning hotels. It's a view that the Prime Minister has also expressed. However, he has insisted the purchase is necessary to prevent the further collapse of Grand Bahama's economy. Just yesterday, he pledged his administration will get rid of the hotel by finding a buyer as quickly as possible. But Miller says he believes the government should simply lease the property.
State of the hotel business, we've already been down that pathway. It didn't work.
The Grand Lucayan closed in October 2016 for repairs after it suffered damage during the passage of Hurricane Matthew. The 200-room Lighthouse Point reopened in November 2016. The government had previously announced that it was negotiating a sale of the Grand Lucayan to the Wynn Group. However, when the deal collapsed, the Minnis administration revealed it would purchase the hotel. Hannah Martin says she has no issue in principle with the government purchasing the hotel, but she doubts their ability. She also expressed concerns over the lack of transparency.
What I find shocking, really, is that this administration has not accounted to the Bahamian people as to what has been happening all this time. We really found out that the deal fell through from the press aide, Mr. Newbold, and also from the investor himself. I don't have a problem with the purchase in principle. Even though in the back of my mind, I have great apprehensions because I know that I doubt this administration can handle this.
Meanwhile, Miller says the Prime Minister needs to take a page out of the book of his predecessors, adding that Minnis's legacy is at stake.
I think all of us would agree that it wasn't for Mr. Hubert Ingram, God bless him, I love the guy, for what he did for Atlantis, 8,000 jobs he created. A lot of us is against it because of the South African content, but it worked. Mr. Christie, the same way. He bought Bahama to fruition. 4,000 people are working there now. So those two men did what was necessary on behalf of the people. The Prime Minister get an opportunity to do something significant so that his legacy will be that he created jobs, permanent productive jobs in this country. You don't do that by spending $65 million on a hotel.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Still to come, why one former MP says the F&M is for the elite. Plus, Kyle Joaquin tries his hand at bodybuilding. Stick around.